The call will be recorded.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
I know I'm just fluffing my hair because I'm like, it looks gross.
I know mine is like, it hasn't come in from the chemo, so it's still like really thin. Drives me nuts. What are you gonna do? So, man, I like your background. I need bookshelves behind me.
I've, I've just been shoving stuff up here. Now,
Yeah.
what we're doing is, this is going to go on YouTube.
Okay.
So, hi to my YouTube people. Seek joy, y'all. I'm Arwen of Tarot. I will screw up, and I don't edit shit. So, but this is my friend Julia Waters. She is an astrologer of many years' experience. So,
Yeah.
welcome to my little place on the internet.
Thank you. I've never done this before, so I'm not going to be scared. I know Mercury's retrograde, but it's all going to be fine.
It is. It is. Mercury's been kicking my behind. I'm uploading a review for the third time today.
Wow.
So it's making me a little cranky.
Yeah.
But I actually have questions that I wrote for you.
Good.
So
Excellent.
The first question, Julia, is how long? How long have you been doing astrology?
Oh, goodness. When I was probably in the third grade, I started reading Greek mythology and got hooked. And when I realized that the planets were those same names, I was like, okay, what's this about? So I played with it a little bit through high school. And then when I was 24, I started the Houston Institute of Astrology with Kim McSherry, who still teaches there, by the way. Took 3 years of classes with Kim and learned my trade. So I've been professionally practicing since I hit 29, so 30 years.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. What, for you, what was your defining moment in, because I know for me in tarot, when I first started, I was like, okay, I'm going to read for you. But then I had a defining moment of, whoa, this is working for other people. What was your defining moment?
I did the same thing. When I was first learning astrology, I had a girlfriend who had what she called weird parties. And so once a month, we would all get together and people would read tarot. And when I was just studying astrology, I would get their little charts and I'd go, oh, your sun is in Leo and it means this. And I would just get so excited. So I learned to talk astrology from the very normal people in the very beginning. When I finally realized I had something to offer was when people asked me to do a reading for them and offered to pay. Mm-hmm. And from that moment on, I'm like, okay, energy exchange, no problem. And it's been since then. I started teaching at White Eagle Lodge in Texas, which is a branch out of England. That was the first place I taught astrology classes, was there. I taught for 2 years. Wow. And then when I moved, someone else took over, and I've taught everywhere I've ever lived. Because if somebody wants to learn, come on over. We'll get a class together. Right now, I've probably got, I would say, 30 people that I've taught that are practicing themselves, and I'm so proud of them.
That's amazing.
Because they're all really good. They are, and I highly recommend some of them. If you're in their area, go to them because they are really, they have to be. Because if I did my job right, they have to be better than me. Okay, and that's what I tell them. But I don't make it easy because I'm always learning. Okay, and they are. They're really good. They have specialties. I call them occasionally. They call me occasionally, and it's wonderful. So I have this great little community of people.
That's awesome. Now, you said something that made me think of another question. Do you think that somebody has to sit down face-to-face with an astrologer? Could they do it over Skype?
Absolutely. I do it over Skype. I do it over the phone. I prefer to talk to the person rather than email back and forth because it's just too much typing for me. I've gotten lazy over the years. With the advent of the internet, it's just so much easier to call. So if somebody doesn't want to Skype, if they'd rather be on a telephone call and not see their face, because some people are not comfortable with Skyping, I do that all the time too.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Now,
because the chart gives you the information.
Right. Now, what do you think about religious beliefs, disbeliefs? Does religion play a part in your reading? I know it does for me because as you know, I'm pagan, Wiccan, witch, whatever you want to nail me as. But do you think religion plays a part in how you view astrology as an astrologer?
Yes and no. As you know, because we know each other, I went to a Pentecostal Bible college. So I can find verses in the Bible to verify that astrology works.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. Somebody really has an issue with, oh, I'm going to see the devil. No, you're not. So we can talk about that, and I can alleviate their fear. If they really have a fear, I'm not the astrologer for you. I really specialize in esoteric astrology, because I want to know what's best for your soul, how you're going to get through this lifetime as best you can, and how you're going to use the transits. And what I mean by that is what the planets are doing right now to speed that evolution, so you don't get caught with Mercury retrograde like we're talking about. Okay, I know Mercury is retrograde, and so I've just not been taking any of it seriously. As you know, my computer wouldn't work last night. I'm like, okay, if this won't work, we'll find another way. And you really have to approach that way. You look at what sign it's in, what house it's in, and that's something an astrologer can help you. Or if you want to do it for yourself, there's a great book. It's been around 25 years. It's called Astrology for Yourself by Dennis Block and Demetra George. And they have it set up in a workbook format. It's fantastic.
I'll put a link for the in the download so that people can find that book then. I have a book by Joanna Woolfolk, and it's a basic. It's like the only astrology book you'll ever need, or something like that.
Yeah,
but
it's not.
It's a skim book, and that's pretty much what I do. Astrology. I tell my tarot clients, if I can, I'd like to know their sun, moon, and rising.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I tell them, for me, that's like a character portrait.
Mm-hmm.
When
I read tarot, which is what you do, I take my ephemeris and I look their whole day up, so that I can tune into them, because I do a tarot also on the side, but astrology is my passion and my love and what I really do the most. Yeah. But occasionally I'll go to the little psychic fairs and do cards, because I love that too. As you know, all these things all say the same thing, just in a different voice and a different timing.
Now, how long have we known each other? Was it PAG 10 or PODS? Because I can't remember.
I think it was Pagan Tables where we met each other for the first time.
Okay.
I never got on pods. I wasn't that computer literate. I came along in IRC and Yahoo. I can't do numbers. That's why I'm an astrologer, because I think in astrological terms. Now, my husband has to do my checkbook, because I just can't be bothered. If I have a check, I have money. That's how I figure. And, the universe provides most of the time, knock on wood, with Mercury retrograde. But yeah.
My checkbook is 30 degrees of Jupiter. This is good.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. 29.9. I'm all good. It's no problem. He, of course, is like, babe, that doesn't work. But, it's okay.
Husbands, what are we going to do with them?
Best thing that ever happened to me, honestly. And I did his chart before I agreed to meet him, with his permission, because I was dating like a wild woman back then. I was going all over the place and having a good old time, because I had a horrible first marriage. So when we agreed to meet, because we had met on the internet, like many of us do, and I said, before I meet you, I'm going to see your chart. And I said, I'm going to pick the day, because it's going to be a day that's good for me. Is that okay with you? And he said yes, because, I wasn't going to do it otherwise.
Smart
and we've
man.
been together. Yeah, we've been together 19 years.
Yeah, because I knew you before you were married. Because I remember you and John. Yeah, because y'all, when I say that Julia and I've kind of just had near misses, I've lived in places where she's just left. So
I know, every time. It's really kind of odd. And now you're in New Mexico, which is one of the places we're maybe thinking about moving to.
That would be awesome. If you ever want to just come visit and have a base where you can go travel from.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
I would tell you the warning that if you're allergic to animals, but I know that's not going to be a biggie.
We have them. Not a problem. We're like you. We rescue.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder who rescued who with some of these guys, but.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They see you through hard times. That unconditional love.
Right?
I actually do charts on all my animals, too. I
was just going to ask you about pet astrology, and is it horary astrology?
Well, actually, usually, the day and if you have, like my dog I rescued, I actually knew the day he was born, because he was my stepdad's dog.
Okay.
And same with our cats. So if you know the day, then you can run what we call a sunrise chart for 6 a.m. and you get a general disposition of what's going on with them. Every single animal we've had for the last 10 years has been a Cancer, which is interesting, because my husband John's a Scorpio and I'm a Pisces, so we have a water house.
Yeah, very
and
much
my last name is Waters, which is really interesting. So it's a very It's easy to be here. It's very comfortable.
Yeah,
They're all very loving and they want to be in your lap. And if you're allergic, I'm sorry, I'll give you some Claritin, but that's just the way it is.
right. Yeah, we've got a bunch of Aries or Taurus kittens. We have 3 siblings, and they were rescued in early May, but they couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 weeks old. I mean, their eyes were still blue. So
if they're Aries, they're going to be a little bit more aggressive, and they're going to have a little dominance fight. If they're all Taurus, they're going to just be real concerned about what you feed them.
They're very much Taurus, and they're skittish because they were feral. So they've got that.
Yeah.
But once they accept you, then it's all love all the time, and food's very important.
Well, yeah, that's the main thing. We need treats, Mommy, good stuff. Don't give us the cheap stuff. We want the good stuff, yeah.
Yeah, we'll bury the bad stuff. Now, let me ask you a question about this. And you just kind of touched on it. Did I freeze up?
Okay.
Okay. So,
a little bit.
What if someone doesn't know their birth time? What if you were adopted? What if your mom says, oh, I think it was the afternoon. I was under drugs. I don't remember. What do you do for somebody like that? You talked about the 6 a.m. chart. I've heard a noon chart. Is that a similar concept?
It's similar, but what I do, because I have to know the details of the thing, I do what's called chart rectification. And I sit with the client. I use the planet Saturn because I'm one of the few astrologers that actually loves that planet. Saturn is as predictable as clockwork. Every 7 years, something's going to happen to you. Every single time. So I can pinpoint what house it's working in. And with that, I use a technique called the 90-degree dial, which was created by, my mind just went blank, I apologize, Noel Till, who is an amazing astrologer, and it will absolutely pinpoint the time of birth.
Very
so
cool.
Because I like to do that. Costs a little bit more because it's a lot more time. Regular fees, it's, most of the time when I do reading, I warn people ahead of time, it's going to be at least 2 hours. Because I talk and talk, and I'm Sag rising, Saturn in the first house, my mouth never stops. Because there's just too much information, and I want you to know every single possible thing you can possibly know.
Yeah.
And then some. So I let people know that up front. Just be aware, it's going to be a while. And if it's rectification, we're looking at 3 to 4 hours. So we could do that over a couple days, like do the original time when I could figure out what your birth time is, and then do the actual reading for what's going on in your life.
Now, what are transits, and why do we need info on them?
Transits are what the planets are doing at this moment. They are constantly moving. When you were born, it's like we take a snapshot of what the universe was doing at that moment. I like to say that's when the universe sang out your soul song, okay? Because at that moment in time, everything is set. It's your personal mandala. It's as unique as your fingerprint. There's very few people, even twins, are born a couple minutes apart. So those couple minutes make a difference, believe it or not. Okay. Then what the transits are, it's like, say you're born with Mercury in Taurus. Today, Mercury is retrograde, and it's and I have my little thing here right here, because I want to be sure exactly what I'm saying. It's in Libra, okay? So although your Mercury would be in Taurus, which is a very slow, methodical thinker, we want to be sure that everything is correct. Right now, you're being influenced by the Libra part, and it's making an uncomfortable aspect to your Mercury, which is called an inconjunct. So it's not working really well. So the slow, methodical thinker is not having a fun time with Mercury in Libra, which is all about balance and harmony. And being retrograde means it's moving backwards, makes it a little harder to tap into. So all those planets are constantly in motion. The personal planets, the ones I pay the most attention to, are the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, because they move very quickly around the horoscope. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones, with my clients that I see yearly, we talk about those in great detail. As long as what is called a solar return, which is I take the day of your birthday, when the sun returns back to the exact moment of your birth, and we cast a chart for that. And that lets me know on an ego level what you're going to be facing this year.
Oh, nice. Because I know that my Mercury's in Aquarius. I know that's hard to believe, blah, 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 blah.
No, it's perfect. That's where mine is. It makes perfect sense to me. I think it's the best place to have Mercury, personally.
Yeah, but this past Mercury retrograde, which was in Aquarius,
mm-hmm. No problem.
I really didn't. This Libra one, it's making me really cranky. It's really causing little glitches. Now, I've read some other astrologers who are like, Mercury retrograde is the way a lot of us talk about it, and I think I'm one of those people, is that it kind of sets you up to be a determinist or a predeterminist about, well, Mercury's backwards, so things are just going to fuck up. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, and again, yes and no. Because a lot of it is our thinking, right? If we think something's going to happen, we make it happen. My way of looking at Mercury is when it's retrograde, I need to be more internalized. I need to slow down myself. I need to take some time and think carefully about what I say, what comes out of my mouth. I pay more attention this time because I don't want to, because I talk so much, I don't want to say something that offends somebody and not even know I did it.
Yeah.
So I tend to be, and I've always done this, I've always slowed down a little bit and said, okay, Mercury is retrograde, let's time it up. But, computers are going to mess up. Is it Mercury retrograde? I could blame it on that. It could also just be that I have a weird computer, So I'm not a fatalist. I'm more a Pollyanna astrologer because I look for the way out. Instead of blaming the planets, I want to see how I can work with that planet to turn it to my benefit. There was a wise man, one of the, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, a stockbroker at the turn of the century, and his astrologer was this woman named Evangeline Adams, who was a direct descendant of John Adams, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah, and he always said, a wise man rules his stars, the fool is ruled by him. And what that means is, as you pay attention to what's going on, you can use the energy. If you ignore it, it's going to use you.
That almost sounds like a John Paul Getty quote to me.
It could be. I'll look it up to be sure. Because I use it all the time, and it's like, sometimes my brain just goes, eat Gleech, you're not going to know that name today.
Well, okay, so I've got 3 more questions.
Go ahead.
This one's an easy one.
Yay!
Asteroids, yes or no?
Yes, absolutely. When I first started studying astrology, my teacher didn't think there was, and please remember, this is 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Demetra George had just written her book. So nobody was giving it a lot of credit because Demetra George back then, to be perfectly honest, and in no way am I disrespecting her, please hear that. I have so much admiration for her. But the first time I heard her lecture, she walked in to a UAC conference, which is one of the things all us big astrologers go to, and she had crystals in both hands and crystals on her head and was all Californian out, right? And I was like, oh, give me a break. This is, what am I doing here? But that lecture is the only one I still remember 25 years later.
Ah.
Okay. Really changed my perception. So I started looking at asteroids, and what I realized with asteroids is because they're all feminine, it's instead of the masculine, we can attribute earth, air, fire, and water to the asteroids. And so it gave them a little bit of an elemental twist as well. Okay. And it's also something we as women and those of us who are feminists really need to tap into sometimes. Because now when I'm reading a chart, unless they make a statement like they're like something really, really important, I may not go into them in great detail. Because usually what happens, they tie into everything else in the chart.
Okay.
Most birth charts have 3 to 5 main themes. Okay. We always have little quandary things here and there, but you got 3 to 5 main things that you came in to accomplish in this incarnation. I do believe in reincarnation. To me, it's the only thing that makes sense. And I understand people don't, but if you read the Bible, for those of you who are Christian, it's right there. They thought Jesus was a reincarnation
John the
of one of those
Baptist.
guys. Exactly. So, and the Jewish people do believe in it. If you actually study their religion, which, like most pagans, we study everything we can get our hands on because we just have to know everything we can about everything. So yeah, I do use them though because they usually bring in the theme, especially the asteroid Chiron, which is the only masculine asteroid that we look at.
I didn't know
and
that.
Yeah, that is so much the wounded healer. And if you think about the mythology of it, that's what Chiron was. He couldn't heal himself. And if you can ever get what I want to say, wrap your mind about the thing within your own psyche that needs healing, you can do amazing work. I personally think psychotherapists needs to use astrologers. You could get through real quick, figure out what the main problems are in the person's life before they ever walk in your office. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to spend a year of trying to get to the issues because they're right there.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. And that's why the other thing I always have to say before you ask me another question, do not give your astrology chart to just anybody because people can manipulate you. If they know your chart and they know how your energy works, they can manipulate you. And people do.
That is one of the lessons you taught me way back in the day that I still remember.
Good.
You said it was like giving somebody a key to your house.
Yep, pretty much.
So.
And you just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, professional astrologers, we don't talk to anybody about your chart. This to us is a sacred trust. Anybody I've taught astrology to, they know it's a sacred trust or they're in trouble. Yeah. Because if I find out they're not, I'll come kick their butt, no problem.
And that's how I read. Yeah.
Same with cards. Yeah.
Yeah, it's confidential. You know, it has to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because it's the person's soul you're looking at. So. Yeah,
exactly. So that's really good information for everybody that's watching this, because I actually had people come to my YouTube channel and they messaged me, they left comments, and a lot of them said, "Do you know a good astrologer?" Because I had told one person, I said, you know, what you're talking to me about, and I tend to ask my clients their age, and if they tell me they're between 28 and 32 or 56 and 62 or whatever, but I always say,
Saturn return.
You could be going through Saturn returns. You need to have your transits done. I used to do my transits on a yearly basis. I don't anymore. But you and I are going to talk about that offline.
Excellent. I would love to. Seriously.
Now, because we've always talked about that, right? And it's never happened.
I know. But it always does when it's supposed to. And no problem.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to talk, and if you just have a quick question, I'm going to answer you. It's not a problem. So, ever.
Same back. And we'll have a little love fest here, y'all. But no, because Julia and I've never met in person, just so y'all know this. We've never actually sat down, had hugs, done the face-to-face. So this is actually the first time I've ever seen Julia in the flesh like this. So
I know. Isn't it wonderful? I love Skype. It's like,
right? But it's that Pisces thing, because I get it with another fellow Pisces and we can flow. So.
Oh, yeah.
And we're close in birth dates, because I'm the 8th and
I'm the 1st.
Yeah, I thought we were like within a week of each other.
Mm-hmm,
so
pretty much.
My next question is Pluto.
Pluto, the great transformer. Yes, he is a planet. I don't care what the astronomers say. Why? Because you can actually track history by Pluto transits and when Pluto changes signs. Okay? When Pluto was discovered in the 1930s, we gave him power over, that particular planet holds the power of nuclear energy, because that's when we first started working with it.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Oh, wow.
And when Pluto moved into Cancer in the 30s, that was when we had the Great Depression. That's when everybody had to learn to take care of family first. We have to take care of ourselves, know so much about everybody else. When Pluto moved into Leo, the baby boomer generation was right after World War II. These kids are so spoiled rotten. I got the last edge of that. I have a 29-degree Leo, Pluto and Leo. So I'm just the bare one of it. We really did come in to change the world. Unfortunately, we got caught up in our own drama. Leo can do that. Pluto moved into Virgo in 1958. That was the year chiropractic finally became legal in this country.
I didn't know.
Okay. Up until then, it was always done in back rooms and nobody really talked about it. That's also brought the rise of good food and organic stuff was done. Pluto went to Libra in 1971. That's when we had a huge rise in divorce in this country. Divorce is about balance, right? If it's not working for me in relationship, I'm out of here.
Wow.
So we learned a whole lot about relationships. When Pluto went into Scorpio in 1981, almost to the day, they admitted that AIDS existed.
I was just going to say that had to be the AIDS crisis, because Scorpio, I know.
Yep. Absolutely. And what we learned there is we can no longer go out and have indiscriminate sex. We have to know on a Scorpio level that person we're having sex with.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Totally changed the whole make-love generation. Pluto went into Sagittarius when I was studying astrology, and I sat with my watch. Timing. Okay, I want to see what happens when Pluto goes into Sag. It was the day, almost to the minute, of the O.J. Simpson trial. And what have we learned in that time period? Our legal system doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. Pluto went to Capricorn right when Barack Obama announced his candidacy, believe it or not. Capricorn lets us know that businesses aren't working. And we've seen the problem in our government with big business. What Pluto does is it shows us what the problem is and then destroys it so we can build it back correctly.
Yeah.
So is it going to be easy? No. Is our economy going to turn around by anybody? No. We have Pluto still in Capricorn. But we're seeing the danger of big business in Capricorn. and how that has taken over the whole world, which to me is not a good thing. Okay, I don't want one big giant corporation telling me what to do and how to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm a little bit of a maverick, so,
Well, when does it go into the next?
It goes into Aquarius, let's see, this is 2015. It goes into Aquarius, I believe it's 2023. I have to double check. And that's when I think we're going to have a lot more rise in technology. Things we're just dreaming about now and can barely imagine will start manifesting. I mean, 20 years ago, did we ever think the World Wide Web would be this? When we met on our little, pods and playing on our little 2000 computers, and now we're speaking to each other.
Right.
Isn't it fantastic?
Yeah, it's Jetson stuff to me.
Yeah. I worked in the medical field for most of my life until I retired recently. And just what I saw in my brief period of doing that is, I remember when we did the first heart catheterizations, what a big deal that was. The first bypass, oh my gosh, that's nothing now.
Yeah, that was Dr. Bobby. Was that?
Yep.
Yeah, because he recently passed away, and the name, for whatever reason, stuck.
Yeah, and now it's like...
I'm sorry, I was going to say, how do people get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me either through my email address, or I am on Facebook. I'm Julia Waters on Facebook, or my email address is Julia Stars. It has 2 L's, JULLIASTARZ @gmail.com. Why 2 L's? Because I wanted to be different.
And I'll put that in the drop down so everybody can access it and contact you. But okay. I want to thank you so much for joining me on my channel and letting people know how to find you and letting them know, what a good astrologer sounds and looks like and does. Because I know there's, just like tarot readers, there's bad astrologers out there.
Yeah. Thank you. What an opportunity, first of all, to see you finally. And you know me, I love talking astrology. Thank you, seriously. I really was honored when you asked me.
Well, super.
So thank you.
Well, we may have to do this again. I may get some specific questions from people and have them ask you about it.
Okay, let me know.
Yeah, but thank you Hi, baby. I see a little dachshund head back there.
Oh, yeah. This is my Chiweenie. I know you have one too. This is Oberon.
Oberon, you're Brindle. You're beautiful.
Yes, I'm a good boy. I have a little boo-boo on my eye right now, so I'm not real happy.
Baby.
He looks kind of like Doobie on Harry Potter. But he's a good boy. We love him.
Well, awesome. Well, take care and blessings to you. And we'll talk again. I'll hit you up on Facebook.
Bobbin to you, my dear sister.
You too, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Blessed Bobbin.
Definitely. Let me know if you got anything going on. Love you.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.